All right, let's get right into it. Hey, I hope you're doing well this morning. I don't know if you can tell, it's very early in the morning, and it's raining outside, and everybody in my house is asleep, and I'm just enjoying the time. And I thought, what better thing to do than to hop on and share a couple ideas or thoughts with you. I am taking, I guess, a class, an online course, an experience. I'm going through a tribe experience with Stu McLaren. Some of you probably know Stu and know his work, but basically, the course is really helping me understand how do I build out my business in such a way that I can serve people better, right? So as we're going through this, one of the things that he's asking us to do is really think about our values, right? So what values run your business? What values are run by the product that you're going to sell, right? So rather than trying to just make money or try to just get people to sign up for your stuff, really delving deep into who do you want to be and who do you not want to be. And so that really got me thinking, just in general, kind of in my whole life, what are some values that, gosh, that just run my life, right? What principles are present in my life? So, what do I believe and how does that show up? And, maybe some of you have done this before where you've done some values exercises and you come up with some, general values like, hey, we want to love people, right? We want to cultivate peace. We want to trust ourselves and other people, right? But really, I started to think about this in a much deeper way this weekend. And it was, again, one of those ideas that got into my head and I just couldn't get it out. And so I thought I would share them with you. So there's 7 of them, and I'm going to be brief. I'm just going to share with you what they are, maybe a little thought, and then really challenge you to think through what values or principles are present in your life and how do they show up, okay? So the first one I think of is to trust myself. I don't know about you, but I've had a past where I've trusted just about everybody in my life but myself, right? I am a reformed people pleaser, so I spent a lot of time trying to just make everybody else in my life happy, right? And I realized that I need to not only make myself happy, but I need to trust myself. So it's come to my awareness, I guess you could say, that over the years, not only have I developed this sense of reaching out and asking other people for help when I need it, but understanding that just because they say, hey, I think you should do this, well, that doesn't mean I should do that, right? So trusting myself that I know what's best, not only for me, but for my business. And sometimes trusting myself just in the context of, having a conversation with somebody and I go, something seems a little off here, right? So trust myself is the first one. The second one is, you reap what you sow. So the essence of cause and effect. So understanding that if something in my life is not going the way that I want it to, that I have said, thought, or done something that kind of put me in that position. And so instead of blaming or guilting or shaming somebody else, really looking at what have I done that has led to this point, and more importantly, what can I do that's going to get me out of it? Okay. The third thing is faith. So faith, not just in, say, your higher power, right? So I believe God is the grand overall designer. That's my belief. You don't have to agree with me. But faith also, of course, in me, but faith that there are principles and laws that guide this life, right? So think of a law as the law of gravity, right? If you don't believe in the law of gravity or you're ignorant of that law, does that mean that the law ceases to exist? No, it's still there. It's still happening, right? If you go jump off your garage and you break your leg, do you have a complaint there? No, because you didn't follow the law, right? So faith that there are certain ways that the world works, and if you can really dig down and understand that more, then you can apply that to your life, right? The fourth one is, not only do I trust myself, but I trust others. Now, this one has a little bit of a caveat to that, though, because trusting others really means a couple different things. Number one, who don't I trust, right? Because there are certain people in the world that, have proven themselves untrustworthy. They've also proven that, they're trying to be helpful. They just don't have the same definition of success for myself that I do, right? So I might not trust their word quite as much. There are other people who, they feel like, hey, I'm the expert in this one thing, so I'm going to tell you this is what you should do, when in reality, maybe they don't know the whole picture, right? I experienced this recently, actually, with 3 different people asking advice about some technical things in my business. Technology is not always been the strong suit for me. It's something I'm learning. And so as I'm asking these questions, their expertise is showing, which is great, and I trust them. However, one of the 3 people really kind of went into this area of, well, I know better than you. You need to listen to me. And that kind of hit alarm bells off in my head, right? Ding, 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 ding. Trust yourself, Michelle. There's something off here. So I do trust other people. When I have a question or I'm in need, I reach out to other people. I also clarify that by saying I reach out to the right people. Okay. The 5th one for me is really just living in the present moment. So I'm really trying to design my life so that I take advantage of right now. I don't spend too much time thinking about the past. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about the future, although when I do, it's a very positive, kind of dreaming, imaginative kind of way, right? So I'm not worrying about what's going to happen. I'm planning, I'm preparing, but I'm really living in the present moment. So understanding and valuing the people that are in front of me. Right now, as I'm recording this, thinking about you and who's going to listen to this and how is it going to be helpful to you, right? How's it going to help you think? I'm not thinking about all the other things on my to-do list, and believe me, it's a Monday, so there's a lot of things to do, right? But I'm thinking about you and how can I make good use of this time for both of us, okay? Living in the present. The 6th one for me is fear isn't real. That's a big one for me. I've done a lot of teaching and talking on fear and problem solving and all that kind of stuff, and there's tons of other podcast episodes that we've done, so I'm not going to go into that right now. But really this idea that instead of giving fear the power that it used to have in my life, saying, fear is not only helpful in that it comes to tell me the things I need to be aware of, but it's also something that I can dismiss at any time, right? So instead of giving it that power to keep me from doing things in my life, I now look at it as a friend that's very helpful, and I can disinvite it whenever I want. And then the last one is kind of related to some of the other ones, but it's trust the still small voice within me, okay? So realizing that every now and then there's a little voice, and I'm not crazy, promise me I'm not crazy, but sometimes I'll be going about life and there's just this little nudge that says, hey, you need to call this person or text that person, or you need to offer this program, or you need to do this thing over here. And I've realized that when I follow that still small voice, which some could say it's trusting myself, some could say it's a faith thing, it's trusting God. I think it's a little bit of both of those, right? It's recognizing that something other than you is giving you an idea, and when you choose to participate and cooperate with that, good things happen. Okay? So those are my 7. Now yours might be wholly different, right? But why does this exercise matter? Sitting there thinking through what are the principles that guide my life, why does that matter? Well, I mean, number one, obviously, because the things that you believe about yourself and about the world and about life in general really will guide your days, right? So understanding what those things are is really going to be helpful in understanding or maybe designing things the way that you want them in your life. And I find for me, as I was going through this practice, I was like, ooh, wow, so there's the 7. And I realized that when I go against one of those, that something feels off, right? So if I don't trust myself, something feels off. If I don't listen to that still small voice, something feels off. If I don't ask for help when I need it in the moment, something feels off. So it's kind of my guiding principles. Hey, Michelle, follow this, do this. When you do this, everything will go well with you, right? And it's easy to do things in my life, to make quick decisions when I know I'm in alignment with these, right? So there have been times in my life when somebody, maybe an expert outside of me has said, Michelle, you really should do this. And something didn't feel quite right about it. And I followed my own heart. And I realized later on, that person was giving me information based on what they knew. But there was something else going on that maybe I didn't even realize. And so that still small voice said, hey, trust your own self, not the expert. Do what you need to do. Okay? So my question for you is, what principles guide your life? Okay? Have you done this before? Maybe you've done some values, right? But do you have certain principles that guide your life? So let me just tell you that, as I was doing this, I was realizing that many of the principles that I have that really truly guide my life and my work have come from the Think and Grow Rich studies that I've done with my mentors in the past. So there are 13 success principles in that book that teach you how to have a rich, full life in all areas of your life, right? So if I'm going to have a rich and full life, not only for me, for my family, but also to serve you, these 7 principles that I have, guess what? Many of them come right from that book. It's made a huge impact, along with others, right, in helping me kind of narrow down, these are the 7 things that I want to make my life about. Okay? So the reason why I tell you that, number one, is because you need to understand that there are other places outside you that you can find these values or principles, right? So when you gravitate towards a certain book or author or mentor, pay attention to why, right? But hey, this week, so today is Monday as I'm recording this. On Friday, we are launching our 6-week Think and Grow Rich study. If you want to know more about this study where I learned the principles that guide my life, one thing I would love for you to do is to send me an email. I'm going to leave my email in the description. Just send me an email and tell me if you're interested in that study, okay? So in the subject line, if you could do me a big favor and just put Think and Grow Rich, and I'll know exactly what that means, and I'll send you a link where we'll describe the whole study, all the ins and outs of it, and you can check and see if it's right for you, okay? So if you're interested, email me and say Think and Grow Rich, and I'll send that to you ASAP, okay? Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for being here today. I love spending time with you. I really, really do, especially on a very early, rainy Monday morning, thinking about all of you. So with that, I release you into the wild. Go forth and prosper. Have an amazing day, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Bye-bye.